Did you know that there's lost gospels that tell a different story about Jesus? Watch this.
Really? So if they're lost, how do we know they're telling a different story? Let's check it out.
These lost gospels, such as the Gospel of Barnabas, the Gospel of Thomas, and the Gospel of the Hebrews, presented a very different image of Jesus, one that focused on his humanity, his prophethood, and his message of worshipping one God.
Well, how convenient. These Gospels make Jesus a Muslim. So first we have the Gospel of Barnabas. It's not lost. You can go read it wherever you want online. And it does make Jesus look to be very Muslim. In fact, some people call it the Muslim Gospel. Unfortunately for Muslims, though, this was actually written in the 14th century, well over 1,000 years after Jesus' life and death, which is why it is a forgery. Someone would literally have to be fooled into considering this gospel as a legitimate source on the life of Jesus. Next one's the Gospel of Thomas, which was likely written in the late 1st, maybe early 2nd century, but once again, it's not lost. However, this is a Gnostic gospel. It supports Gnosticism, not Islam or Christianity. And it was rejected by the early church and the church fathers from the very beginning. The church father Origen has a great quote on this gospel. He says, "The church has 4 gospels, and heretics have many. Among them is the Gospel of Thomas." And the last one is the Gospel of Hebrews, which is actually lost, and we only have fragments of it from early church fathers. Unfortunately for the Muslims, though, we do know that the gospel presents Jesus as dying and raising from the grave. So this would disqualify this gospel to be helping the Muslim case.
When early church leaders gathered in various councils, they rejected these writings because they did not support the new doctrines being formed, such as the Trinity and the divinity of Jesus.
They couldn't have rejected the Gospel of Barnabas because it wouldn't be written until the 14th century. But the Gospel of Thomas was denounced from the beginning, and the Gospel of Hebrews actually is kind of accepted by the early church fathers, just not as scripture. Because the church has always fought off heresy, the councils were just helpful in solidifying that denying something like the deity of Christ or the Trinity is heretical. I'm going to show one more part of this video because it's just too good to pass up.
The Gospel of Barnabas, for example, clearly states that Jesus was not crucified and that another man was made to resemble him, which perfectly aligns with what the Quran later confirmed.
No, Barnabas was written after the Quran. Using the Gospel of Barnabas to try to back up Muslim views is just so bad because of how blatantly of a forgery it is. And that's why I make videos like this, to refute silly nonsense that floats around the internet.